go.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Masters Fantasy Podcast, brought to you by MastersFantasyFootballLeagues.com. As always, I'm joined by the Masters crew, the Doc, Dynasty Owl. What's up, guys? How you doing today?
What's up?
Immediately in my head, I'm like, who? I can hear it. All right, guys. We're coming back at you guys today with 3 running backs to buy post the NFL draft. Before we jump into it, as always, if you could hit the like and subscribe button, come be a part of the Masters family. Looking for a place to play Dynasty football, over 600 leagues, never folded a single one. With that said, I know you guys had a great time watching the draft.
Oh, yeah.
Me too. A lot of stuff's changed. Let's jump right into this. First running back that you're recommending to go get post the NFL draft, whichever you guys want to go first.
Al, you want me to go?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. So my pick is Zach Moss, actually, and this is a guy we've talked about a little bit, but I think the thing that sells me on Zach Moss right here, and I think it's a big reason to go get him, is the fact that the Bills didn't really address running back. So I think that's enough reason, for me at least, to think, hey, they're going to roll with Zach Moss and see what he's got. And, I think Zach Moss, even though it seems like he's just a power back guy, he's pretty complete. He can do a lot of things, and I think his role is going to be a lot bigger in the offense this year. And I think it's another guy it's not the most sexy name, so I think you could still get him relatively cheap. And he's got an opportunity to take a big step forward this year because I think, as we all saw, Devin Singletary not the answer. And Zach Moss, when he was healthy last year, actually looked pretty good. So, I have faith in him to take a big leap in year 2, and I think it's a guy you should go out and get because he's still going to be pretty cheap.
Yeah, I love the take, and I remember saying pre-draft, everyone was super down on Zach Moss because they assumed Buffalo would add a running back, and I said there's only 3 running backs that scare me, and there's 32 teams out there, so the odds of them getting one of where you're talking about Najee, Etienne, or Javonte Williams, and obviously the draft came and went. Not only didn't they get none of those guys, they didn't take any running backs. So feel super good about that. Think obviously Zach Moss has the upper hand on Devin Singletary going into the year. So, yeah, I'm excited about Zach Moss and think he's a guy you can get pretty cheap still.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm actually shocked. I thought for sure Buffalo would take a running back. I haven't said that. I think this is a great and easy way to get a part of that offense, really cheap. Yeah. And
they got to start running the ball.
They have to. I agree. Yeah, great pick there.
I think it's an easy investment, too, because not only is he young, but, there just doesn't seem to be a whole lot of hype for him. So it's a great opportunity to get him and get in on that offense, like you said.
Yeah, and prior to this week, Zach Moss has basically just been a toss-in in trades.
Yeah.
Kind of the second piece with a little bit of upside, but, definitely not like a core piece of the trade.
Yeah.
I do expect that to change going forward.
Absolutely.
I think right now is a good time to go get Zach Moss before that starts to happen.
Yeah.
So, all right, and I'm going to fire off my guy. Kind of very similar situation. I'm going with Myles Gaskin in Miami. Yeah. Another team I thought Miami was probably going to make a move. They did not. It's Gaskin's times in Miami. That offense has been upgraded, through the draft. Just drafted a wide receiver. One thing I did write down about Myles Gaskin, I was looking at his stats, something I found interesting. Finished number 28 at running back last year. He did miss 7 games. I think more importantly, though, I did it by points per game.
Yeah.
Averaged 16.7 points per game. That makes him a top 10 running back if he plays the whole season. I think Tua in his second year. Yeah. Add Waddle to that offense. Add Fuller. and it's a guy I wasn't that high on, but dude, I am now, man. I think Gaskins, and it's another guy I don't think you're going to have to pay a ton for.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Because even sitting here today, and I know this sounds weird, like I'm already looking at like next year's draft, expecting Miami to add a running back.
Right.
Yeah.
Which they may not, but I'm just saying, like, I still don't think his value's that high.
Yeah.
So I think it's a guy I'd definitely go get and cross my fingers that, maybe he performs well enough this year that it's his job for the next 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that a lot. And so there's 2 free agent running backs out there who I think Miami is kind of a front runner to sign. But honestly, I think it's almost even, like, I kind of hope, if you're trying to get Myles Gaskin, that one of these guys sign there, because then I think you could get Myles Gaskin even cheaper and he'll still end up being the guy, and that's Le'Veon Bell and Todd Gurley. I could see one of those guys ending up in Miami, then all the Gaskin owners are like, oh, give him away now practically. And then Myles Gaskin's going to end up winning the job because those guys are old and washed.
Yeah, washed up, man, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And the first guy that came to my mind when you said that was Gurley, because I've been wondering where he's going to go. And that's two places now have just gotten rid of Gurley.
Yeah.
So
basically Le'Veon too.
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah, and Le'Veon. And if you look at Atlanta, I mean, they only got Mike Davis. So if you thought Gurley had something left, I mean, no reason to just get rid of him.
Yeah, very true.
So
if Le'Veon ends up in Miami, he's just gonna be jet skiing instead of.
But Although, man, and I hate to say it, like Le'Veon Bell was so good that the minute you mentioned his name, I'm like, well,
I get a little worried.
I mean, I'm the same way. It's hard to give up on those guys.
Right. But give me Gaskins, man.
Yeah, for sure. The young guy with some juice in the tank still.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so I kind of got two guys, but obviously the same team going Chase Edmonds and James Conner. Another team like your two guys. The Cardinals did not, target a running back in the draft. A lot of people thought they would, myself included. And I definitely feel better about Chase Edmonds because I think his role is more defined, and I think his style of play and that style of offense, he could be a bell cow type of running back in Cliff Kingsbury's offense. But obviously, James Conner, the bigger back, probably going to get some goal line work. Might get a lot of first and second down work as well. But I think Chase Edmonds going to be a nice producer in the pass game and be more than that because I don't think James Conner is that big of a threat to him. But that being said, I'd like James Conner now, too, that they didn't draft a back. So, like both those Arizona backs.
Yeah, and I think just like in Miami, I mean, an offense that upgraded at other positions as well.
Yeah.
I mean, all I'm saying is it's going to be really hard to keep your eyes in the backfield in Arizona with all them weapons running
Rondale
routes.
Zipping across horizontally, and then Chase Edmonds will split the middle or something.
Right.
Yeah. I think that's a great point. I love the take. And honestly, all three of our guys, I feel like, great buy low candidates because even though they're starters, well, I mean, in your case, two of them, they're kind of splitting time, but, I mean, they all are coming at, like, it's a buy low opportunity almost. Even though that's, like, solidified their role as the starter, it's still a buy low, and you have an opportunity to, cash in big time. A year from now, these guys could all be seen as a lot higher up in their rankings. But I absolutely love Edmonds and Conner. I think that offense is good enough to carry both of them in their own defined roles, and I think they're both going to produce.
Right, good stuff. And on a side note, I just remember looking at my roster like prior to the NFL draft and some of the Myles Gaskin teams. I'm like, then as soon as the draft was over, I'm like going back in Monday, hitting submit lineup, like looking at Gaskins, like, it just looks so much better.
Same thing with Zach Moss. I have him on a couple teams, and I was so excited.
Yeah. I inherited the team with James Conner. I was like, before the draft. Now I'm like, all right, like James Conner might be all right this year. Yeah.
You're checking them, considering starting him week one. Like, hey, here we go. All right, guys, that's going to wrap up this edition. 3 running backs, Dynasty football. We think you should go get now. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you could, hit the like and subscribe button. Any last words, guys?
Thanks for listening.
Yeah, thank you.